We had the winner of the previous race was Telefonica Blue. Really clean race for those guys. They sailed off the middle of the line, went left with the main pack with the competition with Puma and Ericsson 4 and Green Dragon initially. They were first to bail, came back to the right-hand side of the course just as it came good for Telefonica Black and Delta Lloyd out that side. Took the lead halfway up the second part of the beat, the other from the gate to windward mark, and were never headed after that. So great opening race from Telefonica Blue.
Yeah, a coast-to-coast lead for Telefonica Blue, leading at every mark. And second place at every mark was Delta Lloyd, and they're really my standout performers for that first race. Remember, this is a team that has really been among the back markers all the way round until the boats got to Rio. They had a bit of extra time there. They've got some new sails. They've got a few new crew members. And suddenly third place on the import in Rio, third place at the scoring gate, fell back at the end, but now a second place finish at the import race here in Boston. A fantastic performance by Tuni Bermudez and his men. And then we've got Ericsson 4 as well, and Ericsson 4 in third place. Mark.
Yeah, nice tidy performance from Tobin Grail and his team. Nothing very spectacular, nothing very showy, but still a podium finish for those boys, which is really what you expect from the overall leader with 13 points. So they've done a great job. They put one on the scoreboard, and given that there's only 2 races out here, they have every opportunity of still winning the day, Ericsson 4.
Okay, Knut, are you there? We can hear you. I don't know if you can hear us.
Hello?
Apparently not. Okay, we'll continue on then. So we've got Ericsson 4 in third place, Puma Ocean Racing. Puma in fourth place, and a great result with Puma, and really fighting with Telefonica Black all the way through was the men on board Puma Ocean Racing. A bit of a mix and match between the two of them there, Mark, as they were really struggling for the fourth and fifth position between the two of them. It's a private battle, really. That's
right. Close all the way to the end there for those two boats. I mean, I guess Telefonica Black will be probably not too disappointed. I mean, that's a position a little bit around where they are overall, but it's not good for Puma. They needed to be much closer to Telefonica Blue, the winners of that race, really to keep the gap down overall. So it's not a good start for Puma and those guys. They managed to just sneak in front of Telefonica Black on the line, but they won't be too happy with a fourth as they're opening their account.
And then Ericsson 3 in sixth place. Now Ericsson 3 was really battling and trying to get back into this race, but they were hampered a little bit by the guys on Green Dragon with an incident at the top. Mark, just talk us through that. We had Green Dragon. They struggled with attack on ley line, and then a bit of an incident with Ericsson 3.
Yeah, I mean, Green Dragon probably would have been top 3 around that first mark if it wasn't for that the mistake with attack with the code 0 when they got a crewman tangled up in the sheet. That put them back very close to Ericsson 3. They went round almost overlapped. Unfortunately, didn't seem to realize that Ericsson 3 was planning a jibe set, and there was a huge tangle at that mark, and both boats sat virtually dead in the water while they sorted out the confusion with the sails. With sails through the wrong side of the 4 triangle. It was all sorts of mess, and it really it was hard on Ericsson 3 because they didn't seem to us that they did anything much wrong. Green Dragon did take the penalty for it, but that one turn certainly didn't compensate Ericsson 3 for their 6th place.
Okay, well, we have made contact with Knut Frostad down at water level again. We're well into our start sequence now, Knut. Just give us a bit of a run-through on the conditions down there.
Well, the conditions are great, Peter. The breeze has clearly picked up. I would say we have around 10-12 knots of breeze. All the boats have their Genoas up, and none have really gone for the code zeros. And more interestingly, there's a thick fog that has filled in, which is kind of just a stripe of fog about 15 meters above the water surface, and then it's clear again at the mastheads. So it's really funny because you can see the top of the mast of some of these boats, and you can't see the middle of it, and you can see the boat. And I can see a thick line coming towards us. I have Jennifer Lilly with me on the boat, and she's actually having access to the weather radar on her phone or iPhone, and telling me that there is some rain to the south of us, which is kind of rolling in towards us. So that should bring some breeze ahead of it. So hopefully we get the race going and far enough before the rain fills in, because after the rain we normally have less breeze. But certainly really good pressure at the moment, and a spectacular view, because it's really this strange fog line which is cutting through the middle, and right now I can't even see the mast tops of the Telefonica Blue boat, for example.
We got a fantastic shot there from the helicopter of patches of fog swirling around the rigs and the spectator fleet of these 7 Volvo Open 70s. It's you can see exactly how tricky these conditions are. So that windward mark's going to be popping in and out of the visibility, and I suspect the crews will be relying on the navigational systems to help them find this mark if it gets any thicker.
Tough call as to whether to put a man up the rig in these conditions. Don't know if he'd see very much up there.
You might see less than they would on the deck at the moment. You might be able to see lots, but all you can see is the cloud base. It's a little like flying 747s.
Well, we are on board with Telefonica right now, Knut, and certainly the boat's making much better pace than they were in the first race.
Yeah, absolutely. We have really solid breeze here. I can tell you it's building as I speak. I mean, there must be at least 12, 13, 14 knots of boat speed here now. I just have Puma turning around us here, and as we have 4 minutes and 20 left to the start line, and this means a complete different setup, and we know that these boats also do differently in this kind of wind speeds. Puma has always been a very strong boat in the import races when the breeze has been up, in particular if they dare to use their code zeros. And I think Kenny is really out there for a bit of a revenge after the first race, and I want to show the home crowd that he can do really well in his import races. So as I speak, 4 minutes left to the start of the second import race here in Boston.
And I think we're just sure we switched to Puma shot now. You can see they've all got Genoas up now. The Code Zeros have been packed away with this breeze, popping up over 10 knots. So this is a much more conventional looking sail plan on all these boats now.
Well, I think the boats to watch in this race, Telefonica Blue, the conditions just starting to edge out of those where they're thought to be have a bit of an advantage over the rest of the fleet. As you said, Knut, Puma, Kenny Reed certainly motivated for a good performance on home waters. And Green Dragon, I think Mark will be anxious to prove that they can do better than what they did in that first race.
Yeah, I suspect the problem for the Dragon is going to be that we're getting up into stability conditions now, and we know that they've got that light bulb on the bottom of their fin there, and it's not really going to help them with a lack of riding moment in these conditions now. We've got some breeze kicked in. So I'm sure they'll be wanting to do better, but whether or not they'll have the pace to do it, I don't know. I think they're probably the outside, if the outside money would be, or say perhaps not even the smart money rather than the outside money, would be on Ericsson 3 pulling off a win in this last one and taking the day. We've seen them do that before, so. But Ericsson 4, I'm sorry. It seems unlikely it would be Ericsson 3. You're right. They haven't had such a good record inshore. But there again, you know, they were keen. They were anxious to improve their performance, and they'll come out firing. And this is the kind of racing where a good start and a good first beat, you get a lead, and it's really hard to get past.
Well, we're going to that helicopter shot again, Knut. We've got the fog swirling around the rigs. Really very picturesque view of the fleet here in Boston, and a very big spectator fleet down on the water with you there.
Yeah, it's a fantastic spectator fleet. Some of them are unfortunately stuck in the fog, and some of them we can clearly see. It's going to be an interesting race because you wouldn't be able to see the marks before you're really close to them. As I speak, we have just 2 minutes and 10 seconds to the start here, and the boats are starting to line up. It's going to be an interesting race. I think, obviously, in these conditions, crew maneuvers play a big role, and Puma always have these outstanding maneuvers in the import races. I'll expect to see Puma well up there, and I'll expect to see Ericsson 4 well up there. And Telefonica Blue won't have, I think, the same edge, at least edge upwind as they had in the other races. But the downwind, the Telefonica Blue team has always been a rocket. What is going to be good to see is how Delta Lloyd is doing. They have been training a lot, and clearly now, if they can keep up in this wind speed as well, that will be great for them.
Okay, Knut, we'll come down to you to call the start in just a moment. But before we do, we'll just give you a quick reminder of the way the scoring works here. The races are scored as a series, and the winner of the import race day is the team with the best record over these 2 races in the series. That winner collects 4 points towards the overall leaderboard. Second place, 3.5, and so on, right down to 7th place. But we do have everybody picking their line for the start now. Knut, talk us through it.
Yeah, we have, just as I speak now, 1 minute to the start gun, and we have Puma, Ericsson 4, Ericsson 3, Delta Lloyd, and Telefonica Black all lined up on the middle of the race course, middle of the start line, heading up to the start line on starboard. And the boats that are setting up for lured positions are again Green Dragon, but this time Telefonica Blue being the boat closest to the pin on port, as we have 40 seconds left, and they will have to tack pretty soon to get up to that start line in time on Telefonica Blue. They're tacking right as I speak, and it will be Telefonica Blue that will be the boat closest to the pin on this start. They have 26 seconds left to go, and I would say Telefonica Blue, if anything, a little bit early there, a little bit early. They're getting close to the line, and they'll have to be careful because they are really close to the line and have to veer away a little to stay behind that line. But 13 seconds left, and Telefonica Blue is clear behind, having clearly the best position to leeward, and just half a boat length away from me, 5 seconds left to the start gun. And as I speak, there was the start. And to me, it looked like Ericsson 3 was early there, but it's difficult to say. So really messy start.
Okay, it looks like Ericsson 3 to windward of Puma, and there's a couple of guns there, so somebody's over early.
So clearly some of the boats were early. That must at least have been Ericsson 3. I would say even Puma and Ericsson 4 looked close.
Yeah, so there is a recall flag up, so someone will have to go back. I can hear on the noise here, I think we see Ericsson 3 turning back downwind there now, and Ericsson 4 as well. So,
hey guys, I'll just give you the last information, is that both the two Ericsson boats and Puma were over early.
And they're
so
all
both the
back.
two Ericsson boats and and Puma was over early. So that's going to create a whole new scenario on this import race.
Well, and Puma, the last one to break for the start line again to head back, Mark.
Yeah, that's right. So looking like I think it's Ericsson 4 coming out in good shape there. The boat's going back. They're returning now. The boat probably that's a little bit under the cloak here is Green Dragon, that came firing off the committee boat end of the line on port with a huge amount of speed. They've been winding that thing up from the whole length of the line, and Delta Lloyd just left a nice gap at the committee boat. So Green Dragon will have that starboard advantage coming back into the gate with plenty of pace. So 3 other boats put themselves well back, and we're on Puma now, and you can see they're in all sorts of trouble with dirty air there. Kenny Reed's going to have to tag out of that. That's a horrible position with the he's in an Ericsson sandwich there, sucking bad air from both those boats in front of him.
Okay, so
Peter,
go ahead.
Just breaking in there, but to me it almost looked like Ericsson 4 was going with Puma whatsoever, because they knew they had a leeward position on Puma there in the start, and even if they both were over early, Ericsson 4 would always be the first boat to run back. It was a pretty interesting tactical maneuver. It will be a good replay on the .tv after this race is finished. I will actually look at that start, because it almost looked like they didn't care as long as they could control Puma.
Well, it might be some interesting questions dockside for the media to ask those two skippers and find out what happened. But let's just recount. We've got 2 groups on after this start. The groups that started properly, we've got Telefonica Blue starting at the pin and Delta Lloyd as well. Both those boats on starboard tack. They're heading out to the left-hand side of the race course. Green Dragon on the far right, followed by Telefonica Black as well, both heading out to the right-hand side. And then second row, the boats that return, we've got the 2 Ericsson boats and Puma, and it looks like Puma has tacked off first. They're heading out to the left, the 2 Ericsson boats continuing on to the right. And really, surprisingly, not that far behind, Mark.
No, that's right, although we'll see when we get to the gate how far they are behind, Pete. I mean, they're both going pretty well here. I think the one that's really going to suffer from this is Puma, because they've had to do that extra tack as well once they were lined up again. So what we have there is now Telefonica Blue. So we're on board with Telefonica Blue, just tacked onto port, so headed back in towards the gate. Right on the other side of the course we have Green Dragon, who I think at the moment are still on port, but they will be tacking to starboard. Delta Lloyd look like they're going to tack in underneath Telefonica Blue, so maybe on that camera shot we're with now, you can't see them at the moment, but Delta Lloyd are down there somewhere to leeward and ahead of Telefonica Blue. So they've got the early advantage, Delta Lloyd here, leading Telefonica Blue back towards the gate, with Puma also tacking in to leeward of this group of 3 on the left-hand side of the course looking upwind.
And the boat that's actually probably closest to the gate is Telefonica Black, but and they are out on the right-hand side. But I think the boat I'd prefer to be on would be one of those boats out to the far left of the course, coming back in, Telefonica Blue or Delta Lloyd right now, looking very good. And again, a really picturesque shot here, Mark. What can you tell us?
Yeah, this is the group that's headed out to the right-hand side of the course, led by Telefonica Black and Green Dragon in the front row, with Ericsson 3 and Ericsson 4 lined up behind them in the second row, having restarted. So Green Dragon here, just about to roll into attack, coming back in towards the gate, and we'll get a feeling now once they're across and they've burned all that time up that it'll take to get them onto starboard and come back in towards the gate. We'll get a much better feel for how they're lined up against the guys on the left-hand side of the course. So we've got this crucial first cross coming up. Fantastic helicopter shot there of Green Dragon going into this tack. No problems with that one. Nobody thrown up in the air on that tack. Unfortunately, Green Dragon had that shocker in the first race, but it's taken them a while to get that headsail back in. So not completely smooth, but the boat accelerating much faster than it was in the first race when they were using the code zeros in the much lighter air.
Knut, where are you down on the racetrack, and what are you seeing where you are?
Well, I'm just with Puma, Peter, and just between Puma and Delta Lloyd. I mean, I'm still impressed by Delta Lloyd. They're still sailing consistently really well, positioning themselves well, and coming up with a really great performance. It is clearly shifting a lot. As you see, I mean, pointing up and down 15 degrees here. So we have the first crossing here with Ericsson, Ford, and Puma. And Ericsson Ford is still clear. Might have even gained a little bit there on the right-hand side of the race course. So, but still, yeah, the left guys look really good, Delta Lloyd and Telefonica, but you guys probably see it better than me because there's so much foot here that it's hard to really judge whether the Telefonica Black is close to Delta Lloyd or clearly behind.
Well, it's a hard call off the ticker as well. It's very close as they approach this gate between Telefonica Black, Delta Lloyd, Telefonica Blue, and Green Dragon. All four of them separated by not very much distance here, Mark.
We can see that shot looking off from Telefonica Black here on starboard coming into the gate. The Ericsson boat, just Ericsson 4 tacking up to windward of Green Dragon. Green Dragon right off the stern there of Telefonica Black. So this is the pack on starboard. They've got Ericsson 3 just crossing Puma down to leeward of them, and coming in almost bow to bow is Delta Lloyd and Telefonica Blue on port. Now on the tracker it looks pretty tight on this cross coming up with Telefonica Black and Delta Lloyd.
Yeah, just crossing the gate now, really. Telefonica Black and Delta Lloyd, and Telefonica Blue certainly not very far off that either. So the first cross of the gate, not much to choose between Black, Blue, and Delta Lloyd, and Green Dragon only a couple boat lengths behind.
That's right. I think as we pan right on this shot here now, I think what we see there is Delta Lloyd ducking Telefonica Black. So first blood to Telefonica Black. Delta Lloyd now going to try and thread this needle, get through the gap here on port, behind Telefonica Black and in front of Green Dragon. I can hear some shouting, but that looks like they're going to be clear ahead. Nope, they're going to tack in there. They're going to tack in there on the face of Green Dragon. Oh,
this is a very close tack here, Mark. The umpires are going to be watching this one very closely, I would think.
Yeah, I think that was legal. I don't think that was a problem from the aerial shot, but it's not a good tack on the Delta Lloyd. Not entirely clear why they didn't just cross. I guess they figured they couldn't get across. It looked like it was across from here, but it's a whole different matter when you're standing on the back of the boat going at 16 knots towards another guy.
Canute, where were you for that cross? Were you up close to Delta Lloyd there?
Oh, I was just allured with them. I was just discussing with Jack here. It almost looked like it could have been a penalty or protest, but basically what happened, Delta Lloyd Green Dragon forced Green Dragon to tack off. And not only did Green Dragon now have to tack off, but they have to bear away to go behind Ericsson 4 as well. So disappointing for Green Dragon. But Delta Lloyd is heading back left this time, and it's clearly pressure. I would say that Telefonica got really well out of this. They got a little exercise lift there the last 2 minutes on the left side, and have powered really away from the others. And Delta Lloyd was much closer to Telefonica Blue 5 minutes ago than they are now.
Well, some very close. We have a heck of a race on our hands here with the wind up a little bit and some really close action there between, first of all, Green Dragon and Delta Lloyd, then Green Dragon and Ericsson 4. But really, everybody's back in the mix, and you wouldn't really think that three boats have gone back to restart because there's a lot of close calls between all of the boats here right now, Mark.
That's right, but I think the guy in the driving seat right now again is Ike Martinez and Bauer Becking on Telefonica Blue. They've got just that single tack onto the ley line to starboard to they're punched out from the fleet, one tack to go. It's all looking pretty straightforward for Telefonica Blue. We're riding with them right now on board of Telefonica Blue, winners of the first race, and looking in pretty good shape for another 2 bullets like they did in Alicante here right now, but there's a long way to go yet.
So leading the charge out to the ley line, the starboard tack ley line, is Telefonica Blue. They are down in really middle of the course, mid-fleet, compared to everybody on the extreme left or extreme right. But Telefonica Blue in the middle and leading out towards that starboard tack ley line. And I think their sister ship, Telefonica Black, is maybe in second place, although Ericsson 4 has suddenly got themselves back up into the mix very quickly as well, Mark.
Yeah, some nice work from Torben Grail, from good recovery. They were first back to go back and restart from that line, so they should be the first of that restarting group, and they've just about crossed the gap up into this leading group. Telefonica Blue is going to be interesting when we see when she tacks how they line up with Telefonica Black. I don't think there's going to be, it's a little bit, the tacks are a little bit quicker right now, so she may be all right. She looks a little lifted at the moment, which is not good. They really would be looking for a header at this stage, as they're pretty close to the ley line to tack onto starboard for this first windward mark. So the interesting cross is going to come up. We're riding with Telefonica Blue at the moment, and nobody moving on that boat right now. Just waiting to see. They will be, someone will have a hand bearer, I think, on that windward mark at the moment, just trying to call that final ley line in. Great shot of the Telefonica Blue powering up with no shortage of breeze here at the moment. No,
the wind really up, and certainly a big difference from what we had in the first race, where the boats were struggling to get themselves powered up and moving. That's certainly not the case right now. Telefonica Blue are just rolling into attack on the line.
Yep, so this is it. Right, lined up now on starboard for the windward mark. In the upcoming cross with the sister ship Telefonica Black. So really they should have the controlling position here on Telefonica Blue. No trouble accelerating in this breeze now with the smaller headsail and the code 0. And as that shot pans out, we may or may not get a glimpse of Telefonica Black, coming in on the other side on port tack. See the two Ericsson boats, there we are. That looks clear. It looks like it's in good shape now for Telefonica Blue. They're going to cross comfortably ahead of Telefonica Black. Two Ericsson boats trailing in on port to leeward of them. Green Dragon pushed back by that pretty nasty tack from Delta Lloyd at the just before the gate, although Ericsson 3 is ducking Green Dragon. But remember, she's actually returned to restart in this race, so that Dragon has dropped back pretty badly.
Well, we've got Delta Lloyd as well coming in from the far left, and not quite sure where they're going to slot themselves in here, Mark, but it looks like probably behind Telefonica Black. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Delta Lloyd, but here we've got Blue crossing ahead and just about to get themselves around that top mark.
Yeah, I think these guys are going to be gone because not only have they got a lead, but they've got the two boats behind them in a real dogfight. It's actually looking like the real close cross here now is going to be Delta Lloyd and Telefonica Black. I think Black has just tacked. She will be coming in on starboard right behind Blue, who are about to go around this mark. There's the windward mark. Big sneak on the spinnaker. Guys on the handles pulling this sail up right now. See plenty of action on the drum there. Tube coming off, spinnaker sheet going on. Get that sail hoisted and filling, and Bauerbeck and Ike Martinez are out of there.
Well, there we go. Telefonica Blue is your leader, and they've led at every mark on this import race day so far. Blue leading the fleet around, and sister ship Telefonica Black coming in, and it looks like Delta Lloyd is slotted in just ahead of Ericsson 4 there, Mark.
Yeah, that's nice work by the Telefonica Black. They had the starboard rights again coming into that exchange with Delta Lloyd, who also had to put the extra tack in, so they come out on top there, and it's a Telefonica 1-2 right now. Haven't seen this, I don't think, since Alicante on the first day of this Volvo Ocean Race 2008-09.
Well, there we go as the head sail comes down, spinnaker up, and Delta Lloyd going around in third place, and really still a very good result for Tuni Bermudez. He's got Torben Grail very hot on his tail, though barely a boat length between them. Not a big gap at all. No,
that's a real boat race on your hands right there. Puma coming in on port on their approach. So we're on board right now with the Delta Lloyd. Fantastic work by these guys. Jib down, spinnaker up, they're off. Puma ducking Ericsson 3, so that's they've got another tack to do on the Puma, so they're going to be 2 or 3 lengths behind on this windward mark. So the next boat round, I think, is going to be, see what we've got in the shot there. Got Green Dragon going around right now, followed by Ericsson 3 and Puma. So the poor old Dragon has been sucked back into the pack of restarters there, passed by Ericsson 4. But you can look at, I think the really impressive thing there is the jump that Ericsson 4 have made from the other two boats that they restarted with, from the front of that group to the back of the group that started on time. And Ericsson 4 are right in the mix now for a podium place here.
Well, a nice shot off of Puma there. You can see some of the spectator and media boats up there, and also a big spectator crowd in the race village watching this on the big screen down at Fan Pier. So people following the race all over the place, on the internet, on the water, and in Fan Pier itself. And Mark, we've got pretty much the whole fleet in view there, except for the ones where you can only see the top of the sail from the fog.
That's right. Telefonica Blue on port now, headed down towards the gate, chased by 2 groups of 3 in that lead group, very tight, with Delta Lloyd, Telefonica Black and Ericsson 4. In the second group, again, very tight, Puma, Green Dragon and Ericsson 3. So plenty of yacht racing on the out on the water here. There, Telefonica Black now jibing, riding on board Telefonica Black. She coming round. Plenty of effort going in on those handles there. Not entirely smoothly, but no lack of willingness, that's for sure.
All right, I think we'll check in again with Knut. I think we've got you back online here, Knut. Do we?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm just the leeward of Ericsson 3 Green Dragon on Puma. So we had some great fights on here now. We had this close battle in the back. I think it's the first time since this Volvo Ocean race started we have seen Puma as the last boat to round the first top mark. So, which is not really good for Kenny being home. So I hope he's going to manage to catch up. But it's a great fight. And then with Delta Lloyd again and Ericsson 4, obviously. But it's going to be an interesting downwind. It's very hard to judge the lee lines unless you have them really well plotted on your computer. And these navigators are fortunate enough to have computers where they can actually read the ley lines to the marks, so they know well. But I'm really surprised to see Delta Lloyd going this far. They're going much further than the other boats before they jibe. And I really hope they have the ley line to that gate clear in front of them, because if not, they'll have to drive too late.
It looks on the track as though they're in pretty good shape, Knut. The other guys are actually coming in on port towards the left-hand side of the gate, looking downwind. So yep. I think Delta Lloyd have probably got quite a bit of runway at the moment. We can see on the tracker there now. It's up on .tv for you. Delta Lloyd continuing on starboard, holding off her tack. She did the same thing on the first run of the last race and allowed a little separation to develop, and it didn't hurt her at all. So we'll see how we go here.
It's interesting to see Delta Lloyd's course, because she's been very consistent now, choosing that side of the race course, both on the first upwind and the downwind, and she was equally consistent on the other side. And I must say they did really well. Did the first upwind really well, although Torben was really tacking on shifts in the middle, and probably did the best upwind considering he started so late.
Yeah, I think that was the performance, to just jumping across from the group of restarters into the thick of the bunch of the guys that started illegally.
So sorry, Mark, I was just going to bring you, we've got the deltas for the whole fleet going around the top mark now, and Blue leading sister ship Black by 27 seconds. Ericsson 4, 58 seconds back of the leader, and then a minute 8 back for Delta Lloyd down to Green Dragon, and Puma in 7th place, a minute and 46 back.
Okay, still riding with Delta Lloyd, helicopter shot there.
And I can tell you I'm just behind Ericsson 4, and Ericsson 4 have just jived, so that crossing between Delta Lloyd and Ericsson 4 will come sooner than we even had hoped for. We will see who did the best course now before the gate, and Delta Lloyd seems to me to be the boat that is closer to the gate, at least, coming in on fourth jive there.
Yeah, it looks to us as though Telefonica Blue actually had to jibe to get in through the gate there, Knut. I don't know if you can see that in the fog from where you are, but it looks like they had to go back onto starboard to get through the gate. They weren't laying down on that port ley line, and that's going to potentially save Delta Lloyd a jibe here. So it'll be interesting to see how they come back together on the cross.
How does it look on the tracker right now, guys? Because we can see from my position, it looks like Delta Lloyd has done the better of Ericsson 4 and Delta Lloyd.
Yeah, it's looking pretty close. We're just on the tracker right there on the image, and it's just jumping a little bit. But I think Delta Lloyd are going to sneak out ahead of Ericsson 4 here on this shot.
Yeah, really, really close here, Knut, at the going through the gate between between a whole pile of boats, really. We've got Delta Lloyd coming in. If you're looking downwind, Delta Lloyd's on the right, and Telefonica Blue much further to the left-hand side of the course, but really close call at the gate, and Ericsson 4 back up in the mix as well now.
Yeah, I'm just behind Ericsson 4. I can tell you Delta Lloyd has gained on Ericsson 4 on that downwind. She's further ahead of Ericsson 4 now than she was at the top wind mark. So that's good news for the Trinidad Bermudas.
Yeah, we're riding there with Telefonica Blue on starboard. Can't see on that horizon any sign of the gate at the bottom here, so I'm not quite sure whether they're laying down to it or not. They're right out on this side of the course. I suspect they're probably got one more jibe to go here on Telefonica Blue. Look pretty relaxed. Helicopter shot there. We may get the gate and the opposition in this shot in a minute. We'll see where it pans out to. Plenty of speed on these guys right now. There's no shortage of breeze for this second race.
No, and it's really kept the fleet much closer together. We do have little battles going on up and down the fleet, but we'll see as they get down through this leeward gate. They have a choice, 2 marks they can go in between, and they then decide whether they want to go up the right-hand side or the left-hand side to begin this second beat. And based on what we saw in the first leg, Mark, what would be your call if you had a neutral call there?
Phew, wasn't ready for that one, Pete. Thanks for that little suicide pass there. You see, that's the thing. The navigator should always be thinking about the next leg, and I wasn't. I was worrying about the rounding at the bottom here. It's a tough call, really. Both times the lefters look good early, and then the righters come good at the gate. So I guess I'd be probably going for the right again, and just accepting that you're not going to look too good away from the start line or from this gate here.
How much of this, in your experience sailing boats like this, big boats that aren't that maneuverable, how much of it is based on just the only mark that you can go around as you get down there?
There's definitely a certain amount of that because the penalty is so big for doing an extra jibe or an extra maneuver at the bottom. It's why you've really got to start thinking about this stuff all the way back before the gate almost, how you're going to be lined up at the bottom mark and where you want to go at the bottom mark. So it's not quite as bad now. We've got some pressure in because the boats will accelerate faster. We're just watching Ericsson 4 jibe there. But certainly in the light stuff, it's really crucial to think, almost half a leg in front for the rounding.
Well, these guys are thinking at that stage now because the gate is rushing up at them fairly quickly with these huge spinnakers up and making progress down there at great speed. And we've got Telefonica Blue leading the fleet down with Delta Lloyd and Ericsson 4 in hot pursuit. And we've got Telefonica Blue now just approaching the gate, and it looks like their choice right now is going to be to head up the right-hand side.
Yeah, going into their final maneuver here on Telefonica Blue, that's the spinnaker coming down. You can see what I think is the right-hand mark looking upwind just off the left side of the boat, off the port side of the boat there. So the easy rounding here is for them to just bring the boat up onto the wind and go around that mark and head out towards the right-hand side. Now that's,
I'm just there with Ericsson 4, and Green Dragon has done a good downwind. Actually, they're just behind Ericsson 4 here, heading down towards the gate. So this can be the closest bottom mark we've had in a long time. Telefonica Black, clearly the second boat, but Delta Lloyd as well, clearly in third place. And we have changed the course, so there's a course change. The breeze has obviously shifted. I don't know if that's going to make too much of a difference for anybody. But still a very close rounding here between Ericsson 4 and Delta Lloyd.
Okay, so around the mark is Telefonica Blue. Say sister ship Telefonica Black is in second place, just about to go around, and then we've got Delta Lloyd and Ericsson 4 in a real close battle here, Mark, for third place around. You can see both of them coming into shot now. Delta Lloyd is going to be going up the left. Ericsson holding that spinnaker much longer than the other boats.
Yeah, that's right. Ericsson 4 coming in. I think on this, we'll see what kind of a drop they do here. Spinnaker's coming down to leeward, and I suspect that they're going to go around this right-hand mark and follow Telefonica Blue upwind. So big split, the front four boats here. We've got Telefonica Blue and Ericsson 4 on port going up the right-hand side, and we've got Telefonica Black leading Delta Lloyd on starboard out towards the left-hand side of the beat. So again, last time it looks good early for the guys who are going out to the right, and then it seems to come good at the end for the guys on the left, but we'll see how it works out this time.
Okay, so we've got four boats through the gate now. Telefonica Blue leading Telefonica Black, then Delta Lloyd and Ericsson 4 in fourth place. And we've got Ericsson 3 now following Ericsson 4 around, also heading up the right-hand side of the race course. And Puma seems to have closed that gap a little bit as well, Mark.
That's right. Puma coming in with some pretty nice pace here, and I think that drop means that they are also going to round this mark and head out to the right. So we've now got a bunch of boats going out to the right, really. The majority of the fleet, I think, are going out to the right. You can see the guys headed left. Green Dragon have gone left in that line behind Delta Lloyd and Telefonica Black. So Telefonica Black, Delta Lloyd, Green Dragon on starboard going left, and then we've got Telefonica Blue, Ericsson 4, Ericsson 3 and Puma on port going right. And we'll have to wait and see. I think Telefonica Black are the first attack out on that left-hand side. They're now on port, headed back in towards the gate. So they've not gone all the way on Telefonica Black. I think that's a pretty marginal lay for the right-hand side of the gate.
Okay, and I should just say I think we've got Green Dragon slotting in fifth place through that gate, in between Ericsson 4 and Ericsson 3, but they did take the other side, heading up the left-hand side of the racetrack, as Mark just described. And, well, it's really all hands on deck when it comes to grinding these things, and I think even saw Capey out there turning some handles there, Mark.
Yeah, that's definitely against the rules, Capey. You shouldn't be allowed to turn handles or handle ropes, mate. You can see Puma with Ericsson 3, just popping out to windward of them there, so Ken Reed and his boys getting some dirty air off that Ericsson boat now, and we may well see how badly he wants to go right in the next minute or two. If he wants to go right so badly that he's prepared to take that dirty air for the next 2 or 3 minutes before the ley line. So Telefonica Blue Black, sorry, on the left-hand side of the course, and Green Dragon, both on port now. So we've got almost the whole fleet on port except for Delta Lloyd, who are still headed out towards that left-hand side of the beat.
Knut, from where your point is on the course, what we're seeing on the tracker, it looks like the guys coming in from the left, and particularly Telefonica Black, they're not able to point as high on port tack as the guys up ahead, like Telefonica Blue. Is that what you see?
Yeah, it looks exactly like that, Peter. It's also a matter of pressure here because there's clearly a difference of pressure. Sometimes you see the guys really are heeling over, having good power, and sometimes they're really upright. But I guess the boat that to me looks like have taken the biggest risk at the moment will be Delta Lloyd to really push the left corner here. And if they don't get any more lift or pressure on the left side, they will have lost a lot of distance going all the way down on the left side.
Yeah, it's definitely a high tariff manoeuvre out there on that left-hand corner for Delta Lloyd. But, they've taken some high tariff manoeuvres before today, and I think perhaps that is the strategy on that boat. They perhaps feel they don't quite have the pace of the new generation boats, and they need to just push it out into the edges a little bit more, give themselves clean air and an opportunity to maintain the same speed. You can see that fog still drifting around the course there, as I think that's Ericsson 4 probably tacking to starboard to head through the gate. Telefonica Blue still on port. She's rolling now. Both these guys headed on starboard now, back in towards the gate. So we've got the big first cross coming up with Telefonica Black coming in from the other side of the course on port. Everybody's going to converge somewhere around this right-hand side of the gate looking upwind. And at the moment you'd have to say it looks good for Telefonica Blue, but we'll give it a minute or two to settle down.
Hey guys, just to break in here, but I'm with Puma, and I can tell you there is a massive right-hand shift, and Delta Lloyd is struggling to get ahead of Puma if they're even ahead. So that means that Delta Lloyd could have here moved from third place to almost last. So clearly been wrong to be on the left side. The breeze has gone right quite a big time and with strong pressure. So
yeah,
I would be surprised to not see I would probably expect to see the guys who went all the way right here to have a massive gain in this one.
Yeah, I think Telefonica Blue have lost some of that. We were with them now, riding with Telefonica Blue, and they had that sail loose for quite a while there. I think they may have overstood to get around that gate mark. They've actually tacked too far. As the shift came in, they went too far on port. They reached back into the mark on starboard, and they're only now back on the wind. So they've lost some of the advantage that they had getting out to this right-hand side of the course by overstanding this mark. So that's shaken it up a little bit, and Ericsson 4 also probably gained more from that shift. They weren't so far out to the right-hand side. They came back in on starboard, and they're really close to Telefonica Black, I think. Can you see that cross, Knut?
Okay, well, we've got a really tight cross there between Ericsson 4 and Telefonica Black. We're on board with Ericsson 4 here, or sorry, with Telefonica Blue here, as you can see them starting to already pull the sails out. I don't know if they think they're on ley line or not, Mark, but they're getting downwind sails up on deck already.
They're certainly not far from it, and looking on the tracker, they're very, very close to ley line. They'll need they're not far away in time, and they may not be far away off the ley line either. Now we're with Telefonica Black, who have just gone behind Telefonica Blue on port, I think. So I think that means then we've got a big cross up, which we can't see right now, but there's a big cross for Delta Lloyd. It actually looks like they've had to duck Green Dragon. So the Delta Lloyd really has gone the wrong way up this beat. That left-hand side hasn't come good for them as it did in previous occasions. The right-hand side has been the payer. Big right-hand shift halfway up. On board with Telefonica Black there. Normally the navigator Roger Nielsen wielding the camera rather than the computer tablet for today. I think there'll be a tack coming up with these boys pretty soon. They're well across Telefonica Blue's line, but looking at the tracker, I don't think Blue is going to lay from where they are right now. No,
they're going to need a little bit more of a righty in there if they're going to bring themselves up to the mark. Knut, whereabouts on the racetrack are you, and what are you seeing? Okay, we don't seem to have that connection just now. But just going through the left side of the gate, we've got Puma and Green Dragon. You can see Green Dragon still ahead of Puma, but we're going to have Delta Lloyd in that mix somewhere as well. They're further out to the right, and certainly the big losers so far on this second beat, Mark. Really, that move to the far left of the race course is really hurting those guys now.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Delta Lloyd. I think they're going to struggle not to have the wooden spoon around this mark, actually, unless something pretty dramatic happens in the next couple of minutes. Great shot there of the lineup headed towards the windward mark. I think the boat all the way to windward is Telefonica Blue. In the middle is Ericsson 4, and to leeward is Ericsson 3.
Got you. Yeah, we've got you.
So we're focusing in now on Telefonica Blue, and from that angle it does look like they may well be ley line for this mark, although it doesn't look like that on the tracker, so we'll just see how this sets up as they get a little bit further up here. Certainly to windward on the tracker of them, to windward of them, Telefonica Black is sailing a lower course, so they may well have overstood now. We could have even more right-hand shift involved here, which is really going to make this right-hand side pay.
Well, a big mark rounding coming up here. This is the second windward mark. It's just a little bit of a sprint down to the finish after this. And this race course, though, Mark, so far has been offering up plenty of passing opportunities. Lots of shifts. It seems like lots of variations in pressure. And also just the tactical moves and the positions that boats are getting themselves forced into by the rest of the fleet really seems to be influencing where they stand on the leaderboard right now.
That's right. It's the same as we've seen with all this import racing. The course configuration does a fantastic job of forcing them all back together at regular intervals, and you can never take anything for granted because you just get a header at the wrong moment when you've got to go through the gate, and all of a sudden you've lost a couple of lengths, can't cross someone, and then you're right back in the pack. So here we go, Telefonica Blue tacking. I think they didn't make this ley line, as we figured from the tracker. We may see as the bow sweeps across, I think you can just pick out the buoy up to windward there. So they've got a little way to go on port, and then a very short starboard, I think, before they round this mark. So Telefonica Black up on their hip, as we say, to windward and behind them. I think Telefonica Blue should comfortably cross and hold their lead round this second windward mark.
And it looks like Puma's right back into the mix of things. Certainly with this group on the right, they don't seem to be a huge distance behind Telefonica Black, although they do still have that other tack to do. But it might be an interesting position for them with Green Dragon as they converge on the ley line, and just looks like there'll be a few boat lengths before they go around that top mark when they start to meet up. And I'm a little bit surprised, unless the right-hand shift is much bigger than we even think it is, by how far out guys like Ericsson 4 are going right now.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we can see Telefonica Blue in shot now, just tacking for this windward mark, which is just to the left of her leach now. The sail's just obscuring the mark a second ago, popping out to the right-hand side. So that's ley line for Telefonica Blue, and that's not far to go on starboard. In contrast, Ericsson 4 and Ericsson 3 sailed a lot further on port, and we can see them coming in now in shot. Two Ericsson boats on port, and they don't look like they're overstanding, but they're coming in below the line. So I think this breeze is getting pretty funky out here. There's a lot of shifts around.
It also looks like it might be easing up just a little bit. That boat's pretty upright going around the mark.
Yeah, it's definitely dropped off a little bit as we ride around the mark with Telefonica Blue. Final hoist. Plenty of action on those handles again, getting that halyard up to the top of the mast. The guys are winding it up on the handles, on the grinders. You can see the spinnaker fill.
Sorry to interrupt there, but we have a very interesting tactical situation between Ericsson 4 and Telefonica Black. Telefonica Black just crossed in front of Ericsson 4 on starboard and tacked. And now we have Telefonica Black on port and Ericsson 4 on port to leeward of them. And if Ericsson 4 can manage to tack in time there for the rounding, there's going to be an interesting close rounding between these two guys because they're very close together.
I don't think from this, we've got a helicopter shot of that right now, and I don't think Ericsson 4 have got room. They're going to tack anyway.
And Black is tacking just around the mark. A nice move there.
Yeah, I don't think Ericsson 4 felt they could tack before Telefonica Black got to the mark. No. Ericsson 4 have overstood that quite comfortably, so I guess they felt they were pinned out on port. They didn't have room to get the tack in onto starboard and gain rights before the mark.
But really separated by a cigarette paper there. Ericsson 4 and Telefonica Black, bow to stern. There's really not very much in that one, Mark.
No, and they're forced to wait to hoist on. They're going that much faster on Ericsson 4. They got to burn that boat speed off almost because they can't afford to. They don't want to go to leeward of Telefonica Black, and they don't want to get the kite up first and be overlapped with Telefonica Black in front of them without the shoot up. But we can see they're on that shot. Telefonica Black with the spinnaker up now. Both boats hoisting kites. So this is a full-on duel here between these two boats.
And I think with them holding up a little bit of a higher course around that mark, they maybe surprised a few photographers and spectator boats around there as well. There were a few wakes in the water as the boats hurried to get out of the way. But really close action between Ericsson 4 and Telefonica Black. So your leaders around the top mark, Tele Blue, Telefonica Black, Ericsson 4, and now Ericsson 3 just going around in 4th place.
That's right. So I think this duel between the boats in 2nd and 3rd really plays into the hand of Bauerbeking and Telefonica Blue, who pushed out there a little bit in front pretty comfortably. 2 boats behind him, very involved with each other, and not really focused on closing the gap down to the leader. So it should be a smooth run home for Telefonica Blue from here. But both these guys have got everything to play for.
Well, and there you can see how painful this leg has been for Delta Lloyd. We've got Puma going around behind Ericsson 3, now Delta Lloyd going around, and it's Green Dragon actually who did end up on that left-hand side near the second half of the beat and really hurt by that right-hand wind shift.
Yeah, it's not a good day for the Dragon, I'm afraid. Right now, holding on to the second of 2 last places, so not a good day for Ken Reid either. There seems to be a bit of a hometown jinx working in this fleet, because Torben Grail really, and Ericsson 4, they weren't that special in Rio. I think they were 4th, which wasn't what they went out for in the morning. Same thing happening to Puma here. They're not doing the business for the hometown fans at Van Pier.
So as we head down on the final run, we have Telefonica Blue leading Telefonica Black, Ericsson 4 and Ericsson 3, and then Puma, Delta Lloyd, and Green Dragon. Those are the positions going around the windward mark for the second time. They've got to go through this mid-course gate and then the finish line, and that's it for race 2, the second race in the Import Race Series here in Boston. But really, it's been a great day for Iker Martinez and Bauerbeking.
And just we have a helicopter shot there. We can see everybody rolling around, both the Ericsson boats going together. And they've jibed away from Telefonica Black. Still headed out on starboard towards that left-hand side of the course looking upwind. So we have Telefonica Blue and both the Ericsson boats on port headed back down towards the gate. And I don't think Torben will be too happy with his teammate there. They're not far off their air. His teammate simultaneously jibing with him pretty much on the air of the overall leader, and that isn't going to be too popular with Telefonica Black here, I think, because the other guys were already on port. So yep, that's Telefonica Black jibing in behind the 2 Ericsson boats on port. Big grind on the handles there, getting that spinnaker in.
And a really, really big lead now for Telefonica Blue. They're already just about at the mid-course gate, and certainly nobody else is anywhere close.
No, it's looking like a coronation parade, this last leg down from the gate to the finish here for Telefonica Blue. Be in very, very good shape and pretty relaxed on that boat. But these boys here on Telefonica Black will have the full sweat on. They've got a lot of work to do to hold on to a podium place here.
Yeah, they have 2 Ericsson boats to contend with, both set up to windward of them, and I think Telefonica Black, they're going to have to come in at this gate pretty hot, aren't they?
Yeah, it does certainly looks from the tracker like they may have overstood this a little bit. I guess they got jumped a little bit on that jibe there. They perhaps should have led that jibe away from the Ericsson boats, but both the Ericsson boats went together and first, forcing Telefonica Black to go quite a bit further on starboard, so to find clear air behind them as they come down on port, and it's not looking too good for Telefonica Black. I think if we see a helicopter shot here as it pans out, we'll see that they are seeing, you can see the angle there, they're sailing a much hotter angle than the Ericsson boats to windward of them. That's a real loser for Telefonica Black, and they may well find themselves in 4th place here by the time they get to this gate.
And this would be a great result for Ericsson 3 if they're able to stay among the top 3. You don't want to jinx them yet, there's still a ways to go, but certainly this would be one of their better import race results. We're going to see whether we've got Knut Frostad with us on the line. Knut, are you there, and what are you seeing where you are?
Well, I'm right to whether of Puma, Peter and Martin. What I'm seeing from here is that, as you said, it looks almost like Telefonica Black jived a little bit late there, because it's certainly coming quite hot into that gate, and that was really unnecessary of them. But I still think they have a pretty good position. I mean, it's quite far separation between her and Ericsson 4, but all in all, it's they still have some good matches here. I'm just here with Delta Lloyd and Puma. They're still close together, and what is going to be interesting is to see how if Delta Lloyd managed to hold on to Puma and Green Dragon and even finish in front of Green Dragon.
Yeah, it's been a real struggle for Delta Lloyd since that first windward mark and going around the run. They did have a pretty good position going through the leeward gate the first time. They were in 3rd place, but they fell all the way back down the fleet to 6th place on that second beat, and they've really struggled to get back into it since then. But the real contest right now is between the Ericsson boats and Telefonica Black, and I think right now the Ericsson boats are looking pretty good, Mark.
Yeah, I think Telefonica Black have just given up that crucial little distance to leeward here to get into the gate. They're through the gate now and can start to soak, and they actually looks like they might be ley line for the finish, in contrast to the two Ericsson boats, which gives them the advantage of not having to do the final jibe. Having said that, the two Ericsson boats will come across at them on starboard, so it's all to play for in that little group. But that's the Coronation Parade shot there. Telefonica Blue leading down for a second win of the Import Race Series in Boston, and what could be the second time she's taken it with 2 bullets.
Well, and the critical point for Telefonica Blue is, of course, on the overall leaderboard, where things are very, very close between them and Puma Ocean Racing, and just a half-point lead for Telefonica Blue coming into this. And if they can put a couple boats in between them and Puma on the Import Race Day, that's a chance to really extend that.
That's for sure. Puma not having the day that they wanted here at all. That's absolutely clear. They're trailing in behind Telefonica Black at the moment. Pretty close with Delta Lloyd. Green Dragon up to windward, or everybody on port now, head back down towards this gate. And it looks on the tracker as though we have Telefonica Black, Puma and Delta Lloyd just about laying the finish, whereas Telefonica Blue, Ericsson 4, Ericsson 3 and Green Dragon all have one more jibe to do. So we're on board there with Ericsson 3. You can see a sister ship, Ericsson 4, just down to leeward. Both boats on port. Very short starboard to do at the finish here, so it's going to be pretty interesting, because I think they're going to close with Telefonica Black right on the line. But on the tracker it looks like Ericsson 4 have got room to get that jibe in and get second place here.
And that would be a great result for Torben Grail. Again, a bit of a quiet day for the overall race leader, because we've just come to expect this kind of performance from these guys. They don't necessarily win, but they're almost always on a podium position, and that's what we're seeing again today in both races.
Yep, nothing flash, nothing showy, just putting the results in, and I think that will probably give them a second overall, but we'll work those results out for you as soon as they're across the finish line. Riding with Telefonica Blue here, final jibe in towards the finish. Not far to go now either as that shot pans out. I think we're going to see this finish line committee boat to the left, and not very far in front of them at all. There it is, Telefonica Blue, just a few boat lengths to windward of the line. Sailing down, you can see the committee boat to leeward of them there. Going to be a big cheer on this boat any second now. Very happy boys, a great result, 2 bullets, winning the Import Series in Boston, Telefonica Blue.
And standard operating procedure for their special guest on board, Michel Desjoyaux, 2-time winner of the Vendée Globe, and well, he's been on board and he's won 2 races here today, so certainly a bit of a good luck charm there for Telefonica Blue.
Yeah, I think you can just see him congratulating Bauerbecking there. Pat on the shoulder for the tactician, very clean, nice day. Now the big cross is coming up, and I think it's going to be taken by Ericsson 4. We can see here setting up for this final jibe. They'll go about the same places as Telefonica Blue did. Everybody looking at it now. It's down to leeward there. That's where they've got to get to. That's the line. That's the action. They've got to get across in front of Telefonica Black to take the second place. This is actually Ericsson 3 rolling with. You can't see Ericsson 4 down to leeward anymore. And if these guys are about to jibe, I think it probably means that Ericsson 4 are already on starboard and headed in towards the finish line. And yep, there's the shot there. Ericsson 4, the closest boat to the bottom of the picture, already on starboard. Ericsson 3 following them. And Ericsson 4 comes across that group coming into port. So yep, it's turned out to be a pretty easy second place here for Ericsson 4. Great shot of them as they roll in towards the finishing line, taking second place. Lovely job from Ericsson 4. Only another couple of boat lengths to go. You see the windward end of the line just up at the top of the frame. Big bear away from these guys as they get around the boat. Spinnaker sheet going out, bow going down. That's second place. The horn there for Ericsson 4. Fantastic second race. Very clean from those guys, from the overall leaders. Doing everything expected of them. Okay, so here we're now with Ericsson 3 on starboard, and this may well be a little closer. I think they're going to get third place here as well, though. See the committee boat? Yep, just rolling into leeward. This will be third place for Ericsson 3. Coming in ahead of Telefonica Black. Fantastic recovery from the Ericsson boats, and you consider that both these two restarted on the line. They went back again and started again, and here they are taking second and third place. So that's Ericsson 3 crossing the line there. Not far ahead of Puma, jibing in frame there, but I think looking at the track at Telefonica Black, in order to get this fourth place, needs to put a jibe in. Here it is now. Here's the jibe on Telefonica Black. coming in. You can see the committee boat there, but looking at the angle of the line on the tracker, the boat was a lot closer than the boys, so they may have held this jibe a little bit longer than they needed to, but I think they're going to get in 4th place ahead of Puma.
Well, it might end up being a fairly close finish there, although we'll wait and see whether the tracker jumps. But this could be a close one between Tele Black and Puma on the line, but it looks like it's Black.
Yeah, it looks like it's Black. Looks like the body language is that they across the line there, and they're done. Puma coming in on port, across the line in 5th. Just leaves us with Delta Lloyd, and such a shame. Those guys were on to have an absolutely golden day at the Windward Mark first time around. Delta Lloyd looking like they are going to come in ahead of the Green Dragon, which will be two last places for Green Dragon. So I think we have confirmation there that Telefonica Black was ahead of Puma on the line. So not a bad effort from Puma. Again, they restarted. They had the worst deal of the restart. So to get themselves back up to 5th, I think, is not too bad a result. Past 2 shots ahead of them. And there we see Green Dragon and Delta Lloyd, the 2 remaining spinnakers. Delta Lloyd on the right of the frame, Green Dragon coming in on the left. And I think that horn means that Delta Lloyd have just taken 6th place. So, yep, you see from the relaxed body language on Delta Lloyd, that's the spinnaker coming down. They've collected a 6th. Could have been a 2nd if they'd held the position they had at the Windward Mark. And I think we just about have an awful lot of some complex ties to line up here. But I'll hand you over to Peter Rush to talk you through that.
Well, I think we'll take it over to the race committee and Canute in a second, but certainly we know that Telefonica Blue is the overall winner. That's easy, 2 race wins. That's a pretty comfortable one for us, and Ericsson 4 will be in 2nd place with 5 points, and I believe Delta Lloyd, in our provisional counting, is in 3rd place overall. They had a 2nd and a 6th, but then there are a whole pile of boats on equal points, and a tiebreak would be involved between Puma, Telefonica Black, and Ericsson 3, I think. But we'll maybe see whether we can confirm that in a moment or two. Overall impact of this, well, Telefonica Blue is going to get 4 points. Ericsson 4 is going to get 3.5 points, which means Blue has gained half a point and has maybe just managed to get up by half a point, close that gap ever so slightly with Ericsson 4 overall.
Yeah, perhaps more importantly for those guys, they punt themselves out a little bit further ahead of Puma, who we think are coming in somewhere 4th or worse, so that gives them another 1.5, and I think it moves the gap out to 2 points. But we will bring that all to you once we've had confirmation in the race committee of how this tiebreak is going to work out, because it's looking pretty complicated out here with the 2-race series splitting a 4-way tie. I'm glad I'm not Bill O'Hara.
And I guess the other thing we can confirm, Green Dragon unfortunately doesn't get into that tie with 2 7th place finishes, and they will be at the bottom of the table. So what I have is Ericsson 4 in 2nd place overall, Delta Lloyd in 3rd place overall, and if the tiebreak works the way I think it will, it's going to go Ericsson 3, Telefonica Black, and Puma, and then Green Dragon. So Puma's going to come out on the wrong end of that tiebreak, but we will wait for official confirmation of that. Mark, it turned into a pretty good day of racing out here with compared to the forecast and compared to the postponement that we had early on. In the end, we got into 2 pretty decent races. The first one in light conditions, the second one, oddly enough, lots of wind and a bit of fog.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, you wouldn't have put money on that happening, that the weather would close in and the breeze would come up. It certainly wasn't forecast for the gradient to pop up like that towards this early on. I mean, we expect it to be very much a breezy day tomorrow for the pressure to increase overnight, but it's happened quite early, and it's given us a great second race here. In fact, it's given us 2 good races. I mean, even when it's light, I think in these boats the course is so short, and the ley lines come up so fast and the corners come up so fast that there's always plenty of action on these inshore race days.
Well, we're on board with Puma Ocean Racing, a tough day for the hometown heroes, and if our math is correct, it's maybe not been a great day for Puma. They're certainly right up in the mix of things, but I think they may just come out on the wrong side of a pretty big tiebreak, which will put them pretty far down the table overall for today. It wasn't really a bad day of racing, but that second start really hurt Kenny Reed and his crew, not just being over early, but then being the last boat to break back for the line.
That's right, and I think you'll have the opportunity to replay that on .tv later on tonight when the whole series is posted, and have a look at just who took who over there at that pin end of the line on the start. It was certainly the crucial moment of the day for those, certainly for Puma, because they just didn't get back into it. They were the last to turn back and the last to restart. The guys that did a fantastic job there obviously were Ericsson Ford. They were the first to turn back, the first to restart, and they got themselves all the way back up to second place for the race and second place overall. So some pretty tidy sailing from Torben Grael and Gisolder and the boys, Stu Bannatyne and the boys on Ericsson Ford.
Okay, guys, are you there with me?
Yeah, Knut.
Yeah, so we got Telefonica Blue obviously winning today, and in second place we have Ericsson 4, and then Delta Lloyd in third, and then as you said, a tie break between Ericsson 3, Telefonica Negro and Puma, with Ericsson 3 coming out first in fourth place, Telefonica Negro in fifth place, and Puma in sixth place, and finally Green Dragon in seventh.
Yeah, that's what we had here, Knut, so it's good for the confirmation, and really a tough break for Puma on the other side of that, Mark. Ericsson 3. Wow. They promised us better results, and they've delivered. Fourth place overall.
Yep, and it didn't start well, but that wasn't really their fault. They got tangled up with Green Dragon at that first swimmer mark in the first race, and ended up in a horrible situation, losing a lot of distance to the fleet, and ended up sixth. But that's the thing about this racing. With just the two races, you can have a shocker in the first one and come golden in the second, and we've seen it before and it's happened again.
Okay, so overall results on the day: Telefonica Blue in first place, Ericsson 4 with a third place and a second place finish. Well, that's good enough for second overall. Then we've got Delta Lloyd. They struggled in the second race, but they still come out third overall on the day. We've got a whole pile of boats tied on points for fourth, but the tiebreak goes Ericsson 3, then Telefonica Black, then Puma, and then Green Dragon in seventh place with two last place finishes on the day. Again, that doesn't really reflect their performance. They certainly looked an awful lot better in the first race than two last place finishes would indicate, but I guess that is the final results on the board.
That's right. I mean, certainly halfway up that first beat, they looked like they were going to podium at that windward mark and have a really good day, and they certainly need it. They didn't have a good last leg. It was really a boat speed game, and they suffered the whole way up here from Rio. So, yep, bad day for Ian Walker and his boys. They really got to pick their heads up before the start of leg 7.
Well, that is it for the import race day in Boston. A good day of racing after a slight postponement. But for Knut Frostad out on the water, Mark Chisnell, my name's Peter Rush. Please join us again. Our next import race is going to come to you from Galway.